Okay.
No, I didn't want to start.
Yeah.
Stop recording. Hi, everybody. I want to thank you for attending today's webinar for Impact Suite and ACT. Today we have a panelist, Jill Gibson, who's going to be going over some of the features that she's using in the suite, mainly subscription tracking. Now, she's doing that by one of our features in here in Impact Suite, which is automation. So here we are in ACT. So I'm going to go in and just show you the framework of the automation here. Impact Suite at the top, we have basically our settings panels. And if we go to the automation here, you can see I have a list of automations that I've done before, just as demos. I'm just going to create a new one and give you the step-by-step. So let's hit the create button. The first thing is, of course, you give the automation a name. So you see the list, a very simple name. Then we want to select the runtime. So we can set it on the startup of ACT, on the shutdown of ACT. We can schedule it at a certain time. When you had schedule, because it runs in the background, ACT doesn't have to be running, hence its automation, so you have to enter in the database credentials in order for it to log in at 2 o'clock in the morning. And this just uses the Windows Task Scheduler. So if you know how to use the Windows Task Scheduler, then you can come in here and set up your what time you want it to run, weekly, daily, monthly. Again, all that is done with the Task Scheduler. So I'm going to say OK to that. So that's the scheduling time. The second thing when we're running an automation is, what do we run it against? A subset of the contacts. So what we have in here is we have a list on the screen of all the criteria. So if I highlight one of these, like total service sites, and I just click on the edit button, you're going to recognize it's the ACT criteria builder. So you can build these criterias that'll house in here. I have one called old lead. So let me just go and edit that one. And I have things like last meeting doesn't contain, phone contains data. Again, it's the criteria builder. What's nice about this is it shows you the counts. Even though I'm in the ACT demo database of 207, it's showing me this criteria is going to return 50 contacts. So again, we're going to, step one, when does the automation run? Step two is, who does it run it against? And step three is, what do we want to do? So the action to perform is, we can do just simple things like schedule an activity, a type of call. These are all the custom activity types that would be in your database. So I want to schedule a to-do, and I can actually schedule to-dos to happen at certain dates and times, or even phone calls. So we can set down this different criteria. So let's say we're not scheduling an activity, we want to create an opportunity. So you may have new leads pulled into your database, and you just want to create new opportunities so they show up on your sales guys' opportunity list. So we can create a new opportunity based on these criteria. We can also send an email. So this is what has a lot of power. I'm using it, Jill's using it, a lot of other people are using it, where I can just start sending out blanket emails to users. And the emails are built off of Word templates, or the templates that are inside of ACT. So you can see I have the common ACT ones, or you can go and modify your own. So you would select an email, you would do a subject line saying, hello. In the subject line, you can even say hello, and then add in data from your database. So add in the first name field. So let's go to first name. So the subject line is going to say hello, Chris, or hello, whatever. And that's the template bodies. The last one that we can do is run a custom script. For those of you who don't know, that Impact has a scripting engine underneath of the hood. And we can go and edit these custom scripts. Not going to get into detail here, but it's a point and click interface. Like on the automation, I may want to create a meeting. So I just click on and create a meeting there. Well, I could do that the other place here too. But automation, I could do 2 or 3 things inside of here. Or I could also do logical conditions in here. So I could say, if a value is between A and B, then create a meeting. Again, it's a scripting engine. It's very powerful. We're not going to have time to get into that, but that's one of the automations that we can run inside of here. So there are the three steps: the time, the criteria, and the action. There are the three steps to set up an automation. So again, we were doing this pretty, this is really for the ACT consultants. This is going to be available online for other end users too that can come and look at it. But what I want to do is now send it over to Jill as the presenter here. And if I go to staff here, Jill, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Okay, good.
Wonderful.
So I am going to make you the presenter now.
Great.
And I'm going to say yes.
Wonderful.
And now we're cutting over to Jill's screen. And yes, Jill, I see your screen here.
Wonderful.
So you take over. There are a couple of questions that came in. Some of them I think you're going to answer doing it, so I'm not going to pop over and answer questions with things I know you're going to get into. So
okay.
Take it away.
Wonderful. All right. So what I did is, I'm a little more fearless, I guess. I'm using my production database, but I made a demo record in it because I also wanted to show you how this is actually tracking daily on keeping me, quote unquote, honest on staying top of receiving of renewal payments, sending out the notices within 30 days, making sure clients are aware that this is happening. Because I took over the billing aspect of ACT, so now my clients are paying me direct versus them having a credit card with SwiftPage, it's made things a little more complicated. And I was finding a little more stress was occurring. So let me just show you what I've done. I used Durkin's option of adding a tab environment on my contact detail view. So I'm on Jane Doe's record. You can see that there is the renewal date here of 9/13, and obviously license costs, number of users, renewal. I even have it calculating if sales is applicable, so that they give me a final renewal total of their amount due. So what I've done is on the second tab for internal use, I've got 4 fields going on here: reminder email sent, renewal quote sent, payment received, renewal payment sent, obviously to ACT, so I don't forget to send them money. So what I want to show you as far as automation is, if I go here, I've got a couple things going on. So the first one, you can see it's a 30-day email reminder. So I'll open that up, and you can see that this is the query, and I will open that up, and you can see renewal date within 30 days, renewal reminder email not containing data, which is important because if I didn't have anything noted here, these people would continually every day getting emails, because what I've done with Jim's tool is once the email is sent, there's an option when sending emails to then update a field with today's date. So it auto updates once an email has been sent off to the customer about the renewal. Also, I don't want to send it to, if there's 30 contacts of a company of my client, I only want to send it to the one that actually will be sending the payment. So I've got another option for a field that's noting who is responsible for sending payment. And then I've got some product types because, SwiftPage has said that Premium Cloud with Desktop Sync or Premium Cloud, they want to hold the money. And obviously Pro is not applicable. So I'm running through this query. And also, obviously, if there's a cancellation date, don't send them anything. And of course, everybody has to have an email. So if I preview this, it'll show me that today, Jane Doe is the contact that would qualify to get this email. So I'm not going to reply or reduce my view. It's already there. So what I want to show you here is I've got a send email, and then send ACT renewal reminder is my subject line. I didn't get as fancy of putting in somebody's name or their product, but I could. There's my template, and then send email fields. Select email fields to send to. What I wanted to show you on this screen is I can select my template, which is the one that I'm going to be using. Jim didn't mention this, but this is interesting. If you've got a lot of renewals, a lot of emails going on, you can actually control how many emails go out per day so that you're not potentially threatened on maybe being marked as spam because there's too many emails going out in a day. So he's got this control in here, which is pretty cool. What I was saying here before is update values after running automation. I have a renewal reminder email sent field, which I pointed out to you earlier, entered new value, and I checked today. So with that in mind, if I go back and click OK, and for testing, I love the fact that you can test this over and over and over again because he gives you a run now. So if I click on this, you'll see, do you want to do this? I'm like, yep. It'll actually show you the name of who's going to be receiving or being sent this email. Obviously, Jane Doe is the person we were talking about. So now, when I go there, I'm just going to wait for it to show up in my inbox. And I'll bring it forward. So I'll show you what the template looked like. There it is. And also, I didn't show it, or I didn't point it out, that you can also BCC yourself on emails. So you can always get that tickler or that view also. So as you can see, here's the email. And obviously, it's showing their product, the number of users, then renewal total, if applicable. And then also, I'm working on this now. There's always a way to build a better mousetrap. I'm still sending my quotes so they can have payment because of the gateway through QuoteWorks. But I'm talking more and more with Jim about this, about how to make maybe something dynamic that I can control a payment link that'll pass the value of the dollar amount. But again, that's a much bigger, more complicated discussion. So,
Jill,
yeah.
real quick, I'm sorry, on that. That is, we have talked about that, and that is in the latest build. Me and you haven't gotten in sync on it, but just to let everybody know is,
Nice.
If you notice the emails that I've sent, which were all the webinar notice emails, that was all done through Impact and Act, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice that you had an unsubscribe from my email, and that was done by creating a link and filling in the user's email address in the link. So every email was different. So if you had a field in there called the payment link, instead of using the email address, which I do, then you could do the payment link. And that's what I'm expecting users like yourself and others to use payment links. It's a part of there now. All right, I just wanted to throw that out there. Go ahead, back.
Nope, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So you can see that I'm prepping them to kind of keep their eyes open for this QuoteWorks, quote that I'll be sending, because when I get this email, that's obviously, an update. Oh, that email did send, because then I build trust in the automation because I see the email that I'm BCC'd on, that I know it's worked. So let's go back to what I was saying earlier. Let's get this out of the way. So now, not only that, and Jim and I've talked about, I want to build a script because I don't like these separate queries and separate functions. I like to have like a stitch together or multi-step automation, but we're going to get there. So here's the next one, and this one now we'll be putting something on my calendar so that I don't forget to schedule an activity that, their renewal is coming due, which is also my indicator on my calendar to send out that QuoteWorks quote, which is huge. Because, again, we're all crazy busy, hair's on fire, and obviously we all have only milliseconds every day to get things done. So I was going to go ahead and run this one. And the query, just to let you know, is basically the same as the first one. As I was building this is like my 1.0 version. I'm getting more complex and more advanced in how I want to approach things. But I'm going to go ahead and run this second one, and you're going to see that it's going to go through just a flicker. And let's see if it appended it. There it is. Send renewal quote. And I have this writing to my calendar at 9 o'clock every morning, because usually I deal with emails from customers from 8 to 9, and then I'm focused on dealing with anything that I have to do automation-wise or administrative-wise for my clients. So now once I've done that, now this is where I want to figure out how to make this more streamlined. But you can see that if I update this F5, you can see that when I sent the email out, it automatically added today's date. Now, this is where I've got a manual step, but I want to make this more automated. Once I do the quote, I talked to Jim, and there's a feature in his product that I can create a results function, like a trigger, so that if the results function is renewal quote sent off of the renewals due custom activity type, it'll paste the date automatically in here. Right now, I'm actually adding it when I send the quote. It's just a second, but every second counts. So I'll put in the quote date that I sent it out. So now, when I'm working through this and I go back to automation, you can see my queries are starting to change a little bit, like 0 now, this activity. This should be 0. I'm not sure why it hasn't updated yet. Maybe I've just got to refresh my computer, but because see, yeah. Anyway, I'll cancel this. So now, the other big piece of me staying on top of things is, did they approve it? Are they going to send me money? I got to be on top of that renewal. So now this next one, add payment reminder. This one is a little bit different because what I've done is I've changed the query to say renewal date within 14 days or within last 14 days, because, you got to stay on top of things. The client's running late, but you've had the conversation. You just got to make sure that the money comes in. So if I preview this now, you see there's Jane Doe, and then I've got 2 other customers that I've got to stay on top of, because we've got his renewal date is the 21st, Jane is the 13th, and Chuck is the 24th. So these are the 2 that are on my radar to make sure that every day I'm going to get a pop-up or a calendar added to my, it's annoying, but it's at the top of every day until I put in a date that satisfies that payment received. And then that renewal notice every day will stop for that customer. I think it's awesome. It sounds like it's a lot of extra, but we're all super busy, and it's really hard to stay on top of things or look back at calendars. And then last but not least, because I've had so many issues with SwiftPage applying payments properly to my customers, Danny Lewis over there, accounting manager, she and I've talked this through, and I created a template so that it will send an email to her that what it'll show is pretty much, let me show you what it looks like. I'm not going to send it because she'll actually receive it. Let's see here. There we go. Edit. What's nice, this is why she appreciates it. It gives her their customer ID, the name of the company, renewal date has been sent on, obviously today's date, it's auto date, in the amount of what the renewal price was, not the renewal total because it had tax in it. That threw her off a little bit. So I had to do the renewal price, user number, subscription renewal date is here. Please let me know. This has greatly simplified or stayed on top of things so that Danny keeps an eye out for when my payments are coming from my bank. I'm sending them checks to apply to my customers. Since I've started this, it has reduced the administrative tracking on my renewals, I'd say by 200%, and the stress level by 1,000, because I kept thinking things were dropping through the cracks and I wasn't on top of things like I should be. Now my system is telling me what I have to do next. And yes, I want to start working on a more complicated, more complex environment. I want to move this off of static field or data fields and go down into like a custom table environment so I can handle also third-party add-ons. There's just so much you can do with this. So if anybody has any questions, I'm sure Jim can fill in any blanks that I may have missed. Oh, one other thing I wanted to bring out, and Jim didn't say something, but this is really important to know, and I'm so glad he added this. He now gives you an ID, so when you're on the task scheduler, because I have 4 different tasks, and I was having a heck of a time figuring out which one was applying to which automation. he now has given these unique identifiers. So when you go to Task Scheduler, you can now see in the name, it's at the end. So you now know which one it is versus, it used to just say Act Automation Soft, my server name, and then that was it. And I got really confused, and so I was so glad he threw that in there. But yeah, Jim, if you want to answer any other questions, I hope I covered everything as well as I could.
No, I think you covered everything. Actually, we didn't have a lot of questions. I answered one or two of them. But if anybody else has any other questions, throw them up here because we're going to wind down in a minute here. But no, Jill, that was brilliant. I mean, this is the first time actually I've seen your deep dive into it. I know we've talked many times on the phone, but talking, I didn't realize how automated it was altogether. It looks brilliant. It looks great.
It's simple, but it's effective, right? It's simple but effective.
Well, that's what you said. I mean, once it's automated, like you said, it's effective, then your stress level is down, and you're not gonna miss somebody too. So this is all great. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wind up here to stop the recording, and I want to thank everybody for attending. I will keep it open after we stop recording for any questions. But again, I want to thank everybody for either attending today or downloading and watching it on the web. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.